Hello everyone and welcome to the epic third Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you more winter data, and I'm going to get on with your third update in a moment. This is going to be a real epic, I can promise you. This is going to be, it's going to be one of the best of the season. So I shall get on with it for a moment. I can't wait to start the third update for you. Just to say that if you're enjoying the winter updates on the channel at the moment, please do you like, share and subscribe, and tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. Tell them about the work that we're doing here at GavsWeatherVids, bring you these winter updates. It's all building up to the winter forecast. I can reveal that the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2023-24 forecast is actually going to be released on Sunday, the 3rd of December. We'll probably premiere it, so it'll be a big day on Sunday the 3rd of December. Of course, it's a long way off. We're still only in the middle of September, so we've got lots and lots of updates to do, so we have to worry too much about the forecast. We'll be having a bit of fun, before we get down to the business end of the updates. But yes, it will be Sunday, 3rd of December that we release the GavsWeatherVids or Winter 2023-24 forecast. Thank you, Shadow Richard. I love it. I think this may be the best winter updates gift that Richard has ever produced. I don't know, every year it gets better, but I love this. I absolutely love the gift. We will be naming the fox and the deer as well before the end of our winter update, so hang around for that. But thank you so much to Richard for our incredible winter updates gift. Thank you to Shrine Brewing as well. All of the help on this update. Shrine has worked really hard actually on this update, as he always does. So when we get to the sections that Shrine has helped with, I shall be giving Shrine a good shout out as well. Richard is on holiday at the moment, by the way, so Richard's having a nice rest and a nice relax in Spain, I think. And when he gets back, you will we will then be able to bring you the swingometer, and that will be in update number 5, be the first we see after my intro of update number 5. So that's going to be epic as well when we finally are able to bring you our swingo. Okay, hashtag Tinker. Thank you so much, guys. Right, we've got a lot to get through with this one, so I reckon with that set, we better do it. So why don't we? We're going to start off with some analogues to settle us in. So, well, of course, last week we looked at analogues for CT and England weather precipitation for August. This week we're looking at summer analogues, summer to winter analogues. So if we have a look at CT at the UK Met, we can see that June section temperature came at 17.0, July's at 16.1, and August at 16.5. And that means that the summer section temperature overall came out at 16.5 there. 16.5 is where we came out at after 17.0, 16.1 and 16.4 for June, July and August. So we are very simply going to be looking at winters following summers with a CT range of 16.3, 16.7. Of course, that places the summer of 2023 nicely slap bang in the middle of that range. So here we go then, starting off with the summer of 1955. And so the winter following that is winter of 1955, 1956. This is a cold winter, although generally mild for the first half of winter. It does have a blocking signal up to Greenland and Iceland, but it has this trough of low pressure to our south and east, and overall we bring in the wind from an easterly direction. So after a mild start to the winter, it gets very cold into February. February 1956 has a sub-zero CT. Our next winter is 59-60, so this is a mild and wet winter following the summer of 1959. We think we've had a poor summer, but I mean, 1959 was a very good summer, and that falls in within this CT range. Of course, it is primarily down to what happened in June, coming out with that 17.0 number. July and August were cooler, but not excessively so for a rather unsettled summer. And as I say, the summer of 1959 is actually one of the best summers of the 20th century in terms of being consistently warm and dry from from spring right way to autumn. Anyway, off on a tangent with that. So let's get back to business. So winter of 1960 is mild and wet. It does have a blocky seal, but it's more towards the Canadian side of Greenland. So that's a mild wet winter start off 1960. Quite a long gap then to 1984, 1985. Now this is a proper cold winter. This one is properly cold, with blocking within the high latitudes back into the Arctic, and the low pressures and the jet stream, they are all pushed away to our south. We bring the wind in from that cold easterly direction. It has a generally mild December, it has to be said, of 1984, but around the new year it gets cold, and then we have a very, very cold January, almost sub-zero for the CET. February is also cold and wintry, but not quite as cold and snowy as January was. So there you go, I've got two cold winters within our package, 56 and 85 to start us off. Our next one is very mild though. This is 1989-1990, and again this one with high pressure to the south and low pressure is away to the north and northwest. This is a wet and mild winter, really very wet in February, and yeah, just very, very mild and unsettled. We've got 97-98 as our next winter. This one with high pressure over and to the east and south of the country, low pressures out to the west. That's very dry and also very mild winter, exceptionally mild in February of 1988, which has sort of May type warm weather. 2005-2006 is our next one. You would look at that and think we have a very cold winter. We don't particularly. The analog is much more exciting and interesting than the actual winter itself was. So it does have plenty of high pressure to the north. Within high latitudes, it looks like we should be bringing in the wind from the Urals and that, but we don't really. It does have quite a long cold spell from the middle of February to the middle of March, though. Then we've got a very wet, stormy winter next, which is 2013-14. Lots of low pressure in the Atlantic, high pressure away across eastern parts of Europe. So that's an Atlantic onslaught type winter. Again, following that summer city range of 16.3 to 16.7. 2016-2017 is a very nondescript type winter. Quite a boring winter, really. High pressure dominating, with lots of dry, quiet weather, also generally quite mild. 2019-2020 is the polar vortex of doom, so that one's showing up within the package of analogues. So deep low pressure around Greenland in the North Atlantic. You see we bring in the wind from off the Atlantic like that. That's the PV of doom. Wow. We've got the teaser winter next. This is 2020-2021 with low pressure almost in the absolute perfect position to combine with this blocking area of high pressure in the high latitude to produce a very, very cold winter. In fact, it was a cold winter for Scotland, near normal elsewhere, but within that there were cold snaps even down in the southern part of the country. It's probably the coldest winter that we have had since 2012-2013, but you know, for many of us down in the south, it is remembered as a little bit of a near miss. And then we've got 2021-2022. So this one, again, rather dry and quite mild. High pressure to our south and west, low pressure way to the north, winds in from off the Atlantic. It almost looked like it's going to be a very good winter up to Christmas. And then, famously, it all fell apart, a little bit like my, a little bit like my winter forecast that year. Right, okay, that's the last year then. Let's put all of that together then, and this is how all Decembers combined are looking following a summer CT range of 16.3 to 16.7. And we have low pressure in the Atlantic for these December, so it is an Atlantic-driven mild and wet signal for the Decembers. However, look at January, quite epic. We find that the low pressure gets pushed southwards and we build the heights up to the north. So that's a bit of a north blocking signal, and that will get wind into the east. So a much colder signal for the Januaries there compared to the Decembers, and definitely some wintry potential. However, it all sort of falls apart again as we get into the Februaries. In the Februaries, we raise the heights down in the south. Very strange how these have come out, but, you know, you can't argue with it. That's how they've come out. So we raise the heights to the south, we lower the heights to the northwest again, and we bring back those southwesterly winds. Remember, within this there are going to be deviations and that. So we have got 1956, which, as I said, is a sub-zero city February, extremely cold month. But when you average it all out, you know, that's how it comes out, a relatively mild and wet signal for the Februaries. And finally, this is how all winters combined are looking. We have a summer CT range of 16.3 to 16.7, and it looks like that. So lots of low pressure in from off the Atlantic, and generally a wet, mild signal. But bear in mind, January is doing something different there, and you can see that there is a blocking signal to the north, and that becomes most evident when we get into the Januaries. Okay, we'll have a little bit more in terms of analogues later on in the video. I'm going to pause it there. We talked for 10 minutes. I'll pause it there. And when we come back, we're going to go through some solar data with you. So I shall see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the third Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. So if you've enjoyed the video so far, I've only shown you some analogs so far. I've got lots more to show you, but if you have enjoyed what we've done so far, then please do like, share, subscribe, and show everybody for doing that. I say more analogs to come a little bit later on. Thank you so much to Shrine Brian for getting all of those years together for us in the first set, and of course you will be seeing more analogs from the years that Shrine got together for us in the second set. But now we're going to carry on with the third winter update. Go look at solar activity next. This is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. We've got various sunspot regions through the solar disk, and so solar activity is actually at moderate levels and is expected to stay at moderate levels for the next 3 days and might reach high levels, I notice, from solar ham. So we are seeing activity increasing once again. We see this on our solar tracker begin to tick back up with those sunspot numbers. So this is sent through by Shrine. Thank you so much, Shrine, for sending this through. This is the GavsWeatherVids third Winter 2023-24 update solar tracker. The orange line and orange spots depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. And as we've been explaining, that back in earlier in the summer, we had this big lift up in activity there, and we had a lot of sunspots on that particular or in that particular period. Well, since then, activity has reduced. So as we've gone through August and into September, we've been at a lower level of activity. Still pretty active, you know, we are heading towards solar maximum, but a low level of activity than we was right in the summer. However, from the most recent orange spots, you will see that, yes, we are beginning to get more activity, although actually most recently we've gone down to there again with that with that orange spot. So it is a little bit up and down, but the green line, which is the 30-day average trend line, that has actually ticked up slightly. It was up here, of course, back in the early part of the summer when we had this spike in activity. Then it dropped down to there. It does look as though the trend line is beginning to lift back up once more. So we'll see whether we are in fact going into another spike up in activity or not. Certainly that was a pretty, that period was a pretty high couple of days that we had there earlier on in the week. So we shall wait and see. We should keep an eye on our solar tracker. Of course, you see that overall trend is very much upwards. We can go back to December 2021 with this, and we're down here with activity events. And you see that the trend has very much been upwards, as you would expect, going from solar minimum into solar maximum. And we shall wait and see where things go from here. We have not got the Spotless Days gift show you from Rich. As I say, Rich is on holiday. Happy holidays, Rich. Hope you're having a lovely time. He'll be catching up when he gets back. But yeah, so we've just got the solar tracker to show you today. So we'll move on from solar activity. I think Shrine for the tracker. We'll move on from solar activity to have a look at the QBO very briefly, just to again confirm that we are going into, or we are in, the easy phase of quasi biennial oscillation. You see that from this thick blue-green area here, descending from the stratosphere, 10 HPA, into the troposphere, 30 to 50 HPA. So, see if I can draw a straight line. Let's see how I get on with that. Can I do it? 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 Yes, there we go. So, that's not too bad, is it? No, yes, you can see that the ECQBO had descended from stratosphere to troposphere, as we've been explaining. This winter of 2000 and 23-24 will be a easterly QBO winter. This is the Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast chart. Let's just try and zoom in a little bit on this one, shall we? So go to there. Okay, so this is Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast. So black line shows where we're being with the AA brick lines at the end of GFS ensemble to forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So through the early part of September, when we was having that heat wave, the AO went into positive territory. It's now back down to negative, weakly negative. Anyway, GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation is going to stay either neutral or weakly negative as we go through the second half of September. So remember, the AO is just an index that's reflecting atmospheric state, same as with QBO. Really, all of these indexes aren't driving weather in their own terms. They're just telling us what the atmosphere is doing. So, for example, when you're in an east QBO, you're weakening the zonal westerlies, and you can promote northern blocking sometimes in winters. And if you're on a westerly QBO, you strengthen the zonal westerlies, and that tends to coincide with a great chance of a milder, more westerly driven winter for Northern Europe. Well, same true for the AO. So when you're in a negative AO, you've got an increased risk of blocking over the Arctic and over the North Pole. If you're in a positive AO, then you have low pressure over the Arctic and the North Pole, and you usually strengthen the zonal westerlies through the mid-latitudes. So a little bit inconclusive there in terms of the AO. You know, it's neither particularly negative or positive. It's very close to neutral, really. Forecast is correct over the next couple of weeks, but probably on the negative side of neutral. NAO observed forecast is the same idea. So again, the black line shows we're being with the NAO, the red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to go. So again, back around the earlier part of September, we go positive with the North Atlantic Oscillation, quite strongly positive then, and of course that's coinciding with the very, very hot start to September. That's reduced back down to negative, and if the GFS ensembles are correct, the NAO is actually going to become even more negative through the second half of September. So a real month of two halves, really, with the NAO. The first half often very positive, the second half, if the forecast is correct, really quite negative. So that's interesting how that's worked out. And again, you know, the NAO just reflecting the atmospheric state. You know, when you're in a positive NAO, you've got low pressure around ice and high pressure through the Azores. You strengthen the westerly flow. Therefore, when you have a negative NAO, you have lower, not necessarily low pressure, but lower pressure through the Azores and higher pressure. Lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher. That was play your cards right, wasn't it? So yeah, you have higher pressure around ice and lower pressure through the Azores when you are in a negative NAO. And you get both of the indexes together, negative in the winter, then that can go along with the chance of a colder winter. We'll just have a quick look at this. I haven't looked at it yet this season, but we will be bringing you stratospheric data next week. Actually, we're going to bring you our forecast model for the stratosphere at 10 HPA over the North Pole for the next few months from the Copernicus suite of models, or some of them anyway, next week. But we can see that already the polar vortex is getting going here. This is the North Pole, of course, at 10 HPA, GFS forecast from meteoshield.fr. So those blue colours, that is the polar vortex. Whether it will become a polar vortex of doom, I don't know. But for now, you know, it's very, very weak because we're early on in the season, only middle of September, but that is this year's winter 2023-24 polar vortex. It will expand and deepen and get colder over the next few weeks and months, of course. And as we run through with this, you can see actually that the blue colours do deepen over the next couple of weeks, as you expect. You know, as we move through the autumn, the temperature both in the stratosphere over the North Pole and on surface will get colder. So by around this time next week or just beyond, we're down to minus 56 there at the core of the PV over the North Pole, and as we run on into the more extended range with the GFS, which is just changing over from the 12Z to 6Z, shouldn't make much difference for these charts. You can see that the blue curves get a little bit deeper actually as we get into the beginning of October. We're going down to around minus 60 there with the temperature at 10 ppm stratosphere over the North Pole. We'll talk much more about that next week, and yes, you know, stratospheric data, stratospheric developments will start appearing within the winter updates from around this point onwards. This is how Eurasian snow cover and Arctic sea ice extent were looking when we did last week's second update. So we did have some white patches last week, did have some snow cover in the far eastern portion of Siberia. Not a lot, but probably a little bit more than you would expect for the 8th of September. If we have a look at the very latest, you can see about a few more white patches have appeared. Again, all rather, you know, not much, but there is probably more than you expect at this point in September. I think probably a little bit above average for snow cover in the far eastern portion of Siberia for the middle of September. Some years you wouldn't have any snow cover really across Siberia at this point of the year. So it implies we might start seeing a rather rapid increase in snow cover as we go further on through September and particularly into October. We're going to look at that much more when we get towards the end of September and into October, and we will do, you know, year by year comparisons and whatnot, see how quickly the snow is advancing. That will be coming up probably from around update number 4 or 5, I would have thought. More melting has taken place in the North Pole, so you can see the yellow area here. That's where we've got Arctic sea ice extent. You can see that even like well into that extent, we are seeing a few little watery patches open up there. Actually, if we compare it to last week, you can see, yes, we have lost more Arctic sea ice. So let's have a look at the extent. So this is from nsidc.org. You can see from the blue line, this is this year's Arctic sea ice extent. You can see from the blue line, that is still dropping actually, hasn't yet levelled off. I don't think. So that was the most recent day with 4.297. And yeah, so that's still dropping. That is still lowering. 4.278 there. So yeah, that's still dropping. Hasn't yet leveled off. That means we have to keep looking at this for another week or so. It will level off very soon, and then the refreeze will commence. Let's see how we're comparing to recent years. So that is 2022. We have less Arctic sea ice extent compared to this time last year. That is 2021. Again, we're below 2021. That's 2020. We are above 2020. So we're above that particular year. We're on a par with 2019. Bang on. That's 2018. Let's get rid of some of these lines. That's 2018, so we are below 2018. That is 2017, which we're below as well. That is 2016, very, very close to 2016. That is 2015, a little bit under 2015 now. 2014, we're significantly below 2014. That's 2013, and we are significantly below that one. That's 2012, that's our record minimum year, so we're rather significantly above 2020, though not greatly so. So 2020 is the lowest year, of course. 2012, I should say, is the lowest year, followed by 2020, and we are above both those 2 years. But we're on a par kind of with 2019. That's the year that we're closest to, I think. Let's put 2023 back in, get rid of that. That's 2011, very, very close to 2011 as well. That one is 2010. So we're below 2010 at the moment. That is 2009, which we're below as well. That's 2008. We're a little bit below that one. That's 2007. Very much on a par. 2007, 2006, well below that one. And 2005, well below that one. Won't go any further back than that. So probably look at that again next week. Have to look at that again next week, given that we are still reducing Arctic sea ice extent. I would have thought by next week the refreeze will have recommenced, and then we will be able to start looking at that. But probably one more week with that next week. Right, gives you some more analogues next. So we're going to look at England and Wales precipitation. So we can see that for June, England and Wales precipitation came in at 49.3 millimetres. Was a very dry June, but July turned it all around with 133.4 millimetres. Very, very wet July. And then August came in not that far from average at 77 millimetres. Put it all together, we come out with an England-Wales precipitation range of 259.7 millimetres for summer 2023. And so that's the range we'll be looking at for our second set of analogues for this update show. This is how we're looking at winters, of course, following summers with an England-Wales precipitation range of 240 to 270 millimetres. That places summer 2023 nicely slap bang in the middle of the range. Our first winter starts off is 1953-1954. This one has low pressure to the south, high pressure blocking Scandinavia. Again, thank you so much to Shryan Bruin for sorting out all of these years for us. Thank you so much, Shryan. So again, this is a cold winter late, has high pressure to Scandinavia, low pressure to the south, winter in from the east. Mild start, cold finish to that winter. Have 1957, 1958, which also is a backloaded winter. Low pressure to our east, high pressure in the Atlantic. Back has a mild December in 1957, but gets much colder as we go from February particularly into March. 1963-1964 is a dry and relatively forgotten winter really. After the daddy of cold winters before it, 62-63, everything calms down for 63-64. Has a few cold snaps coming and going, but it's mostly a dry and near average winter. We've got 1965-1966, again following England and Wales precipitation range of 240-270 millimetres. This is a very unsettled winter, very wet winter. Has a cold and wet December with some snow. Has a very cold spell in the first half of January as well, I think, in 1966, with a proper Scandinavian high and easy wind. But then the second half of January gets milder, culminating in a very wet and mild February of 1966. So overall, I suppose it's a front-loaded winter again. We have 1971-1972 with some high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure in the Atlantic. That's a rather mild and unsettled winter. 1974-1975 is the first of the drier and milder winters, really, from mid-70s in the great drought. So that's a rather unsettled and very, very mild December in 1974. It is a very mild winter overall as well, and I think gets a little bit drier later on in winter. 82-83 next. So this one doesn't tell you everything you need to know about this winter, really, this analogue. Has high pressure out to our west, low pressure is to the north, winds coming in from that westerly direction. However, it does have effects, so it's generally mild winter, 82-83, particularly in December and January, quite stormy around the new year as well, but it does have cold weather in February of 1983, has a blast of cold easy winds in February of that year, and a very cold spring in 1983 with a white Easter. 87-88 is the first of the trilogy of mild and wet winters, but close out the 1980s. And then 88-89 is a dry, mild winter. So we've got two of the three of the trilogy here for this set of mild winters of the late 1980s. Of course, we saw the third and final one in our first set of analogue, 1989-1990. 92-93 is another rather banal winter with high pressure dominating, low pressure wind to the north. We don't want to repeat of that. What on earth would I find to talk about in the videos every day? That's dry and mild. This one's much more interesting. 09-10. We've got 2009-2010 turning up following a summer with an England Wales precipitation ratio 240-270 millimetres. This with high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, winds in from the east. That's a properly cold winter that we have there. Wow, for 09-10. Goodness gracious me. Then we've got 2015-16, and this is exceptionally mild. Of course, had an exceptionally mild December with this one, low pressure wave to the northwest, winds coming up from southwest, high pressure to the south. Interesting, quite a few El Nino winters with this as well. Of course, 82-83 was a El Nino winter. This, of course, is a Super Nino winter as well, 2015, 2016. That's a very, very mild one. That's the last year. Okay, so putting all back together, this is how all December's combined are looking, following an England Wales precipitation range of 240 to 70 millimetres. It's dry, mild signal, with high pressure over the UK and much of Western Europe. Low pressure is away to the north. This is how all January's combined are looking, generally a mild and wetter signal for the January's. Low pressure in of the Atlantic, bringing quite a bit of rain. All December's goal, February's combined, I should say, looks more interesting, Mo. So this one raising the heights up towards Greenland quite significantly and sending a low pressure projection south. And so it looks like this set of anomalies is probably favouring more of a backloaded winter, if anything, with the coldest weather through the winter coming in February, which probably won't be a surprise given that got 1954, 1958 and 1983 in the mix. But then again, there are exceptions to that. Remember, for example, we've got 88 and 89, they're both mild Februaries and whatnot. Put it all together, not a particularly inspiring signal for a cold winter, despite perhaps ending on a cold note. It's how all winters combined are looking, following an England Wales summer precipitation range of 240 to 270 millimetres. Low pressure is in the Atlantic, so a rather mild and wet signal for those winters following that those summers with that particular precipitation range. So that's it for our analogues this week. We'll have more analogues for you next week, of course. I'm going to pause the video one last time, and when we return, we're going to look at oceans and also hurricane season data. So quite a lot of interesting info on the way for the third and final part of this third winter update. But you go off and stretch your legs, maybe get yourself a cup of tea, perhaps a little nibble, I don't know, perhaps think something a little bit stronger. And I shall see you in 2 seconds for the resumption of the third winter 23-24 update. See you very soon. Okay, we're ready to resume the third and final part of the third Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you've enjoyed the video so far, I think it's been pretty epic. We've done a lot in half an hour, I think. So if you've enjoyed what we've done so far, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so very much, everybody, for doing that for us. We've got lots more interesting information to show you. And of course, thank you so much to Shryan for the analogues in both sections of this third winter update. Thank you so for getting all of those years together for us, Shrine. Thank you so to Richard for our amazing winter update. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Rich, and continue to enjoy your holiday, my friend. Right, oceans data then. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's second update. I think this has gone better than last week's second update. You remember I was very much wilting here in the towers last week, but it's although it's quite warm and humid, it is a lot cooler, a lot cooler here in the towers, and you know it's much easier for me to record this. So I think you don't let me know in the comments, but I think this one has gone better so far. But let's hope I don't mess it up at the end. Right, anyway, back to business. This is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's second winter update. 4 areas of interest. Got the ENSO region just here. We got the Northern Pacific over here. Particular focus on the Northeastern Pacific, got the Indian Ocean there, got the Atlantic Ocean there. Very hot looking oceans generally. Let's have a look at the latest. Here we go then. So as far as the ENSO region is concerned, probably not a lot of change over the past week. All regions of the ENSO region are shown an El Nino signature with more than average sea surface temperature. You'll remember last week we did note that the eastern portion of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean has seen a drop in the temperature there, and maybe things have risen a little bit in the central portion. And I think that basically continued over the past week. So basically we just have like all regions now showing an El Nino type signature. In the Northern Pacific, quite interesting what's happened up there. So if we go back to last week, that situation up here last week, this is the situation this week. You will notice that things have cooled down a little bit up here in the far northern to northeastern portion of the Pacific Ocean. We'll keep an eye on that. If that starts cooling down, that might reinforce the negative PDO signature. We've still got the negative PDO signature just there, but cold and average area sea surface temperature. But if things start cooling down through here, that will help potentially to reinforce the negative PDO. So if you have an El Nino with a negative PDO, then Yeah, that's quite an interesting combination. I'll say no more than that. Over in the Indian Ocean, we've got a positive IOD, of course, so it's warmer through here, cooler through there. I don't think there's been all that much change over the past weeks. Again, that's how it looked last week in the Indian Ocean. That's how it looks this week. Not much change going on there. And then over in the North Atlantic, again, remember we're looking over here now. That is how things looking last week. This is how they're looking this week. So we have seen some cooler waters opening up, and that's down to like the tropical storms and hurricanes that we've had. So that's the impact of Franklin churning up the water just there and bringing some colder water to the surface. I think that's been the implications of Margot, probably. So some cooler areas opening up. However, generally the North Atlantic is in a very warm state with lots of warm and average sea surface temperatures all over the place. We may do our first comparison of the season next week and go back through the sea surface temperature anomaly maps with a focus on the Atlantic Ocean and see how we're shaping up. We might do that next week for the first time this season. It is interesting to note that it is pretty warm through here and pretty warm through here, and possibly as a result of these hurricanes and storms going a little bit cooler through there. That would, of course, be a tripole if it carried on and intensified, but for now, it's early days, and that is only the effects of both storms and hurricanes that we've seen over the past week. This is how a 7-day trend is looking, how things have changed in the past 7 days. So in the Indian Ocean, most areas have warmed through there. In the ENSO region, we're tending to see more warming in the central western portion and a little bit further cooling in the eastern portion. You see the cooling that's taking place in the northeastern Pacific, which is quite interesting. And then in the North Atlantic, you can see quite significant cooling as a result of these hurricanes and storms that we've had over the past week, but not in all areas, just in the specific areas that they have impacted. Otherwise, most areas, such as the tropical Atlantic, such as the northern Atlantic as well, most areas have warmed up. In the Norwegian Sea, things are cooling, and in the North Sea, things have cooled a little bit, and of course are still above average through there. This is Southern Oscillation Index, so this is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state in the Southern Pacific Ocean, so measuring air pressures between Tahiti and also Darwin, and then this is the overall SOI number just here. We have a negative SOI, then the atmospheric state is reflective of El Nino. Over the past week, all days have posted a negative SY, so I won't go through the numbers, but you see them for yourselves just here. All days coming out negative, telling us that the atmosphere is coupled with the ocean and continue to be so. And so, while that remains the case, we can expect El Nino to continue. Let's just pull this out slightly. This is CFSV2 latest forecast for region 3.4, which is the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, telling us that at the moment we are in a moderate El Nino, just here around 1.5 degrees above average. CFSV2's forecast that we remain in a moderate El Nino really over the next few months into January as well. So not seeing any further strengthening. Interestingly, it was well and truly backed off its Super Nino ideas a couple of months ago. We was up here, wasn't we, with the forecast. So it looks like the CFS is going for a moderate to borderline strong El Nino there. Also, it continues to go for Modoki El Nino. So currently, we are just here with the sea surface temperature in region 1 and 2. That's the eastern portion of the actual Pacific Ocean. It is forecasting that we go down to around 1 degree above average by the time we get into the end of the autumn and into winter. So clearly warmer in the central region than it is in the east region, and therefore that tells us that CFS V2 is predicting a Modoki El Nino. Just go back here and explain that again. So that is where it will be warmer through here, and it will be cooler through here. Not necessarily cold, but cooler than here. And so that will be what we call a Modoki central base El Nino. Right, okay, have a look at the ocean next, of course, very hurricane activity next, very much, of course, associated with the oceans. So, this is from Wikipedia, this is the 2023 Atlantic Hurricane Seasons page. These are our scores on the doors, Miss Ford. So we have had now a total of 15 tropical depressions, 14 tropical storms, 5 hurricanes, and 3 major Category 3 or above hurricanes. Pretty big season, this, given that we've got an El Nino going on. Ace Master Shryan has been keeping our Ace page updated for us through the week. So, again, go back to 1850s. With this, the classification for Ace accumulated cyclone energy is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. If we come down to the most latest year, we can see that for 2023 so far, we have an Ace now of 105.30. That is well up on last week. That's really rocketed quite a lot, actually, for 1 week. That's primarily down, of course, to Hurricane Lee, which we have had in the Atlantic over the past week or so. That comes out at near normal at the moment, but it is actually above the entire Ace that we had last year in 2022. That came out for the season at 95.10 with 14 tropical storms, 8 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. So you see what's happened here. We've had 14 tropical storms, same as last year. We've had 5 hurricanes, actually fewer so far than last year, but probably more than at this point last year, and 3 majors. And last year we only had 2 majors. So although fewer in number for hurricanes at the moment, nevertheless, we have actually seen more stronger storms, I think, emitting more energy. We will be keeping you updated with the Ace Master over the next few weeks and months. Of course, we go through our winter updates. At this point in September, by the way, we'll expect to be at 71.90, so we are well above our running mean and running average. As I say, this is all rather unusual for an El Nino, for a developing El Nino year. So this is the cold and warm episode by. I thought we'd just have a quick look at this, before we go. This is the cold and warm episode by season page at CPC NCP and this is showing all of the El Niños and La Niñas back to 1950. So when you have a La Niña, you expect to be ramping up the Atlantic hurricane season. When you have an El Nino, though, you expect to dampen down the Atlantic hurricane activity, and that's because a lot of the activity with an El Nino tends to be in the Pacific rather than in the Atlantic. There's only so much energy to go around, so the Pacific is displaying lots of energy, but the Atlantic will tend to display less. So the red numbers, they are the El Nino years, for example, 1951, 1952, and we go all the way down with that to the last El Nino, which was actually in 2018, 2019. That's quite a weak El Nino. That was our last weak El Nino, and our last strong Super Nino was 2015, 2016. Of course, you notice that from 2020 to 2023, we've been in a long-running landing and having a long-running cold event. We have not yet got El Nino designated, by the way. So to get an El Nino designated, you need to get specific criteria. You need to be half a degree above average over 5 tri-monthly periods. We have had that over the past 4 tri-monthly periods. And you'll notice that the last one, which was June, July, August, went to plus 1.1. So clearly the El Nino is strengthening. But we've got to have positive numbers above half a degree above average, for the next 2 more tri-monthly periods, and then you will see the numbers going red. Now I want to go back to the Ace page and just have a look at that. So these are some of the years, and these are some of the years that have a developing El Nino. So, for example, 1951 did come out with an above normal Ace, so that's 1 year, but doing something a little bit different. 1953 comes out near normal for Ace. Again, notice we're already above 1953 for our Ace for this year. 1957 comes out near normal at 78.66. But again, notice we're above 1957 for our Ace this year. 1963, again, comes out near normal, but at 117.93. We are not far away from overtaking 1963 already. 1965 was developing El Nino, and that had a below normal Ace for the season as a whole. 1968 was also below normal. I'm going to come back to 1969. We've got 1972. just here, also coming out below normal for ACE, only 35.61. That's another developing El Nino. 1976 was near normal, but we are past 1976 for our ACE this year. 1977, well, that came out below normal, and we are well past that one. 1982 as well. We can look at that one. So where is 1982? Just there. So of course that was developing Super Nino. 31.50 was the ACE in 1982, below normal. Clearly we have already beaten that on sticks, on stilts even. 1987 below normal, developing El Nino, and 1986 was a developing weak El Nino as well. We have beaten both of those years already. Let's carry on down. 1991 was a developing El Nino autumn, and again with that came out below normal for ACE, so we've beaten that one as well. 1994, where's that one? Yes, we've beaten 1994 too. 1997, Super Nino's 97, 98, that was below normal for ACE, and we've already beaten that one too. You see how unusual this is, what's going on this year with this hurricane season. And we've still got a long way to go for the hurricane season as well, by the way, but you see already how unusual this is. 2002 was near normal, but we have beaten 2002 for ACE already. 2004, that one's doing something a little bit different. That was a weak El Nino, and that came out hyperactive. And that had an ACE of 226.88. That was a little bit unusual that year. 2006 was near normal. We have beaten 2006 for ACE. 2009, again, that was below normal. We've beaten 2009. 2014 near normal for ACE at 66.73, but we've already beaten that one. 2015 last Super Nino, that was below normal for ACE, we've beaten that one. And of course the last year was 2018 at 132.58. that was a weak El Nino, by the way, and that came out with above normal ACE. So it does happen sometimes that you will get a stronger hurricane season with an El Nino. It tends to be more if you have a weak a weaker El Nino, though. So if you have a strong El Nino, it is really very unusual, I think, for this to happen. If we go back to 1969, I think out of the three, 2004, 1969, and 2018, I think 1969 is probably going to be the strongest, and that came out with a hyperactive hurricane season. Only an ACE of 165.74 though. That had 18 storms, 12 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. Big season that. So it'd be interesting to see whether we finish up like 1969 or whether we finish up more like 2004 with this. But we can say that what's going on for this Atlantic hurricane season with this El Nino is quite unusual at the moment. 2004, by the way, had a big ACE number at 226.88, 15 tropical storms, 9 hurricanes, and 6 majors. So that was stronger than 1969 for the hurricane season. A little bit unsure about the El Nino, though. Right, okay, so Shriner's put this all into context for us. This last thing we're going to look at, and then we're done with this epic third Winter 2023-24 update. I hope you enjoyed it so far, everybody. We did it at the end. No, I don't think it's a very long video. So, this is showing years with a similar or more active Atlantic hurricane season as of the 16th of September. Not many of them, actually. 1893, 1933, 1950, 1995, 2005, 2008, 2012, down here, 2023 at 104.80. Remember, this is up to the 16th of September, but we have our closing ACE numbers just here. So 1893 ended up with an ACE of 231.15, 1933 finished up with an ACE of 258.57, etc, as we go down here. And you can see that most of these finish up hyperactive when they've had such a big start. Couple of 2008, 2012 finish up above normal. No, we can expect more to come. We can expect more to come, definitely. And then Shriner's also put in the ENSO classification. And you see that most of these years, especially the hyperactive ones, are La Nina. There's only one that is ENSO neutral. which was 2012. So again, we have the El Nino that we're currently going through just here, and it just again confirms how unusual, this season is in terms of what's going on with the hurricane season in combination with the moderate, as Shrine has put there, helpfully El Nino. So generally, most of those years are La Nina years. One is ENSO neutral, none are El Nino. And again, we're only at the 16th of September, so we could well have more to go for this hurricane season. And I'm sure this will be a big story, a big player as we go through the remainder of our updates, unless we have an early shutdown to the hurricane season, which of course we might do. But unless we do, I'm sure this will be a very, very significant and important, important player in our winter updates. Well, that's it. At 50 minutes, it's been an epic. What an update. I hope you've enjoyed it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that final section combining El Nino with the hurricane season. This is unique content, everyone. I don't think you find this anywhere else on YouTube. So if you have enjoyed this third winter 2023-24 update, then please can you give us a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, tell your friends and family to subscribe as well, and spread the word about GavsWeatherVids. Share this video as far as you can across social media and whatnot, and let everybody know about the work we are doing here at GavsWeatherVids, pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope with our winter updates. We thank you so very much, everybody, for doing that. Thank you so much to Richard for our incredible winter updates. If the UK are enjoying your holiday, Rick, thank you so much to Shrine Bruin as well. Shrine's worked so hard on this update. You've seen work from Shrine from beginning right way to the very end of this winter update. So this is really a Shrine special, I think. Thank you so much to Shrine. Hashtag Team Gav working together as always. And if I've made any mistakes as I've gone along, I'm so sorry. It isn't the fault of Shrine or Richard. It's purely down to me. So don't blame me. Don't blame the other guys. But hashtag Team Gav, always amazing. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the third winter 2023-24 update. We're going to have another update for you next week, of course. That will be the fourth update. As I said, we're going to start including some stratospheric data, forecast data within that, and we might go through some ocean data for the first time this season as well. We'll have analogs, and we'll have all of the usual features in that one too, so that one will be another epic for you next week. We're going to be live streaming at 6 p.m. We'll be discussing this third winter update. So if you've got any questions, I'm sure you have. If you've got any questions, then please can you post them to our live stream at 6, and I will endeavour and do my best to answer those. But at, how long's it been? 52 minutes. Epic. That's all for now, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.